Hey guys, Aaron over here, and as I've been going around killing giant dragons, getting my ass blasted by Xenos, and having people around me, fall asleep for a while, I've been noticing something. I started noticing it from my very first day in Teorzia, and I still notice it into my journey through Alamigo. I know that I will not be the first person to discuss this or give their take, but I have the best take on YouTube, so sit down and just allow me to blow your mind with this. After that 30-ish second spiel, you're basically screaming at me right now to just get to the point. I can't hear you, so I don't care. Anyway, what question I'm posing today is already in the title and the thumbnail. Yeah. So, why doesn't Final Fantasy have a toxic player base? I mean, how did they do it? What level of sorcery did Square Enix cast to create such a large and popular MMO with a community that treats you like you just got to grandma's house and she's all, "Ooh, who is this handsome little man?" All while giving you a big hug and then giving you a big plate of food because it looks like you need some of grandma's special meatloaf. Even though you say you're okay, it never works, does it? So nice, so hospitable, so lovely. Wait. What was I talking about again? Oh, yeah. Final Fantasy, sorry. Action, swords, magic, yeah, okay. Not to oversell the Final Fantasy community with that Matoya analogy. I mean, I've had my run-in with the people that act more like your drunk uncle that comes around who spouts off how much he still could beat you in a fight and racist comments and tells you that you look like you've gained some weight. Oh, well, he's losing his hair, his wife left him, and he hasn't been seen without a beer in his hand since the 80s. I hate you, Uncle Bill. Wait. I gotta stop doing that. Final Fantasy, right. For every piece of trash that spouts off that garbage, there are at least half a dozen there to lift you back up, explain to you what you're doing wrong in a constructive way, and still work with you until, as a group, you complete the challenge. In sharp contrast, it would be reversed in WoW. You mess up in WoW and you're probably just kicked from the group, but not before being told how useless and crappy you are at the game. If Final Fantasy is going to your grandma's house, then WoW is going to your drunk uncle's house. One's warm and cozy, the other is disgusting and uncomfortable. I feel like for years and years, all I've ever heard around the block was how cultivating a good player base was impossible in an online, essentially anonymous space. But going to Final Fantasy, you realize extremely quickly that they were wrong all this time. The glass has been shattered, so to speak. This video is just a culmination of why I think the player base is better overall, and my hypothetical unresolved family trauma. Yay. So without further ado, click that red subscribe button and ring the bell, because if you don't, you're essentially not subscribed. Thanks, YouTube. And also, like the video. Both of these help immensely and let me know what you guys all like and want to see. Thank you, and enjoy. Honestly, it's pretty unfathomable to think that Square did achieve such a monumental task. It leaves you wondering what they might have done to help keep the game world clean. They didn't restrict certain words from being said. They didn't belittle their fans to instill fear in them. So what did they actually even do? Well, I've been thinking about it and I'm trying to dig deep in here, but honestly, I can't really find anything that remarkable. All I could come up with, however, is they actually gave their GMs power to snuff out all of the abusive behaviors like harassment, hate speech, racism, etc. They were given the power to actively ban people and encouraged to ban people who broke their rules. If you allow the loud, the obnoxious, and obviously unpleasant players to get away with saying things and acting a certain way, that sets a precedence for all the other players to take advantage of that and use those hateful words and actions without fear of consequence. By taking out the few rotten apples, you can really save the rest of that entire bushel. It's such an easy concept when you look at it that way, but most companies don't follow that. Why is that? Wouldn't you think it would make your game better? Well, yeah, but then they're losing out on the guaranteed sub and money that those bad apples bring to the table. No company wants to tell you not to play their game. Unless they're Final Fantasy XIV and care more about the general well-being of the good player base. I really don't want to say that that's it. That that's all they did. But honestly, it really was. Being able to have rules and adhere to them, being able to send a message to everyone by getting rid of those toxic players. It says, if you're a toxic player, We don't need you and we don't want you, and we will do everything in our power to get rid of you and preserve the good. It's a huge thing for a company to value the many quiet ones versus those vocal minorities. It turns out that when given expectations of what the player base should act like, most people actually choose to do that. They choose to fight against toxicity because they know that Square Enix will back them up and get rid of those toxic players. It's amazing having the knowledge that your company, the game that you play, will back you up. When you start actively going against negativity and your fan base and your player base does the same, it creates a feedback loop. When a new player, i.e. me, joins Eorzea, and I am exposed to the nature of 95% of the people being generally good and nice, supportive, caring, welcoming, I knew right there what was expected of me and what is going to be tolerated. You will always make longer-lasting, true relationships by being nice, positive, and reassuring, rather than disgusting, negative, and toxic. And that is something that Final Fantasy has gotten down to a T. Final Fantasy shows respect to the players and treats everyone as an equal, and in doing so, everybody just pours out with that positive energy and passes it along to every new player along the way. I'm sure everyone here knows about the lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, but there's a couple extra tidbits that have been sprinkled around, like how Bobby Kotick decided to step down after everyone finding out how he threatened to have his assistant at the time killed, and also claiming to have known about the sexual harassment going on indefinitely the whole time. I cannot believe I supported such a garbage company, and let alone a useless human being, for so long. And I know they weren't always like that, but I played for a long time after Activision took over, so I'm not lumping in old Blizzard with Activision Blizzard, just so you guys know. Don't destroy me in the comments, please. Thank you. My point in bringing all of this up, I know you guys have heard about it before. It's more about general awareness, and the toxicity that took place within Blizzard's own walls almost directly mirrors their in-game toxic culture, and also lack of enforcement of their rules. I use that term extremely loosely if you couldn't tell by the air quotes that you can't see. You can't possibly run a functional game if your workplace is dysfunctional. You can't go from having cubicle parties, sexually harassing women, abusing your power, not listening or caring about other people, and just no hold bars match at work, to making sure that your player base is having fun, is cared for, is listened to, and generally unabused. The way WoW and Blizzard were run was essentially a toxic and abusive relationship. As a player of WoW for so long, I never felt heard by Blizzard. None of the people that I talked to ever felt like Blizzard actually cared about them. I mean, look at the whole thing with the legacy servers. WoW Classic is literally the only thing keeping World of Warcraft afloat right now. And for years, players were like, hey, we really want to play old school WoW. We should be able to do that. I want to do that.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
And they actually had the balls to go, no. You think you want that, but you don't. How up your own ass do you need to be to just disregard what your player base is asking you? They are willing to pay to play the old school WoW, and they're like, nah, no, you don't want that. We know what you want. We are better at knowing what you want. It's disgusting. I didn't want this to be a Blizzard rant, so I'm sorry for that, but some of this stuff just drives me insane. I wasn't a content creator when all of this stuff was going on, so I never really was able to say anything, and now it's kind of like my 1-2, yes. Better late than never to beat that dead horse of Blizzard, huh? But I think with everything that I'm saying is the exact reason why WoW players have been so scorned, corrupted, and are just generally hateful, impatient, and elitist in nature. It's sad, but it's true. As I kind of explained earlier, you don't really get this with Final Fantasy or Square Enix, because presumably, they are a good company who takes care of their employees. They nurture the people who essentially pass that along into their game. If you give good to your employees will then give good to the players, making you a better company. If you decide that you're going to neglect the people that are making your game, then all that pain, the sadness, the anger, everything that they are feeling from you is going to get pumped right into your game, poisoning your game. Unfortunately, that's what happened with WoW. It started off with full of life and adventure, and now it's just diminished into a husk of itself. Hate breeds hate, Blizzard. Get it through your skull. The success of Final Fantasy XIV and the failure of WoW reveals two very important things to anyone thinking about running an online service game. Firstly, despite years of being told that it was impossible to run an online game and have a general good community, is actually possible. Granted, it will take tons of time and work to perfect. And second, which I feel is the more important lesson to learn, is that not only is having a good community possible, it is also extremely worthwhile commercially. If you get rid of the 10 people poisoning the well of a player base and leave only the good, you'll most definitely get 20 or more people to replace those 10. It's much better to bury the toxic in bans and lose their money instead of leaving them in the game to essentially gatekeep other good players from joining the game. Trust me. Otherwise, you'll end up like Blizzard. Dying, scared, left wondering what went wrong, and realizing all you have to blame for your death is yourself. And with that being said, I think I've said all my points and thoughts on the topic. Understanding that when you care about your employees will care for your player base. It's pretty simple. It's just like if we were to ban my Uncle Bill from Thanksgiving this year, it would probably be a better overall Thanksgiving for everyone. But hey, that's just an analogy. I want to thank you for sitting through this video and giving me your time. Now I want to hear from you all. When did you guys figure out that the toxicity wasn't really present in Final Fantasy? Were you told about it and decided to switch because of it? Or did you switch over not really knowing what to expect and, like me, was just pleasantly surprised? Also, one of my favorite things to ask on this topic is, what was your first experience where you were just like, wow, this is so much better than where I was before. This is a great community. Mine was when I was doing the Ballad of the Ultima weapon, and we kept wiping and wiping on different mechanics. We died a total of 6 times, and finally on the 7th attempt, we did it. No one in the chat was remotely bothered by it. Everyone just all around each other, congratulating everyone, praising everyone for a job well done. It was amazing. And at that moment, it really solidified me into this game and the community, and I won't be leaving anytime soon. Unless it comes out that Yoshi P maybe threatened to kill his assistant, or is a furry. Then maybe we'll talk. But until then, please remember to subscribe and like the video. Doing that stuff really does help my channel, and it is so appreciated. Also, for those interested, I stream right here on YouTube 3 days a week. Link is in the description. I'm going through Final Fantasy Blind, and I just got to Stormblood, so it's pretty fun. Everyone seems to be enjoying themselves, especially me. So if that's your cup of tea, then I suggest you come in and take a look and see if you like it or not. All right. Well, I think I'm going to get lost and immerse myself in some of the main story quests in Stormblood before prepping for Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful turkey day, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video and on stream. Bye.